It works! Hello and welcome, my name is Mel. I'm studying graphic design in the Montfort University, Kazakhstan, and today we're talking about AI and big data being implemented in finance industry. We're going to be covering this topic from both view of academic and industry professionals. Please enjoy.
So my name is Konstantin Aushev. I'm a partner at KPMG. I'm leading technology consulting practice. I'm based in Almaty, but I'm responsible for the whole region of Caucasus and Central Asia. Started my career at KPMG 12 years ago. Started at Moscow office of KPMG, and then about 7 years back I moved to Kazakhstan, to Almaty, because originally I'm from here.
Well, my name is Mikhail Bondarenko. I teach finance, econometrics, statistics here at DMUK. Did my MBA in Britain, worked there as a researcher, taught there, and moved to Almaty 2 years ago. Originally, I'm from Moscow, and my background before academia is in media and entertainment, next door to IT. Well, how does AI transforming finance? Well, as an academic, there is a proliferation of research into that. How algorithms are putting a lot of traders on the stock exchanges out of jobs. People have been talking about it for decades, I think probably from the mid-90s onwards, but in the past 10 years, computers became so powerful and algorithms became so sophisticated that we have a big IT revolution. And data obviously grows in size every year, exponentially. A complexity of the data, the richness of the data. Also the noise that comes with the data is a big problem. And that presents a problem for financial consultants because they need to separate the good data from all the noise around.
Okay, well, both of you said that AI is becoming more and more powerful, that people are using computers more, and I think me as a graphic design student cannot relate more. So would you say AI is becoming a threat to future finance, maybe to future for the finance department?
Well, there is a recent academic paper where the researchers talked to auditors and asked, would AI put you out of job? Because there is wide expectation that later in this decade we'll have AI preparing financial statements, and so what will happen to accountants, what will happen to auditors? And the responses tended to be, well, remember there was a time when we couldn't file tax returns electronically, but now we can. It didn't put people out of job, it just made us more productive. So probably the definition of what an auditor does will change. It will transform the profession for sure, but I don't think it will be a threat to a lot of jobs. I'm interested in what's the KPMG perspective of that?
Yeah, KPMG is all professional services firms. We also conducting different research, and actually we also did a research called Trust in AI. So the interesting result is that figures, responses, statistics for some questions dramatically changed during this 6 months. So actually the subject, the topic of AI is so rapidly developing that aptitude to this topic from different part of the world, different professions, different I don't know, kind of people, they change their mind constantly. But I agree, this research also demonstrated that yeah, there are some professions, some technical professions like master data management probably, yeah. But overall the trend is that overall we will potentially need more specialists with some new skills. And actually it's used to be a trend for every new technology. If we see back to some industry 2.0 revolution, we would also found a lot of articles, a lot of people would lose their jobs, etc., etc. But we have seen that nothing like this happened.
Okay, Well, that gives a lot of hope for the future for the finance students, I believe. So here comes the next question. How is AI transforming traditional finance processes, such as risk assessment, maybe fraud detection?
Well, I think one of the key things about AI for us in finance, it allows us analysis on a different scale. The data, the unstructured data, AI allows us to zero in, to focus on the preferences of the consumer of financial products, on the one hand. At the same time, it allows us to break down the profile of a potential mortgage owner in a way we couldn't do before with the traditional techniques. So it's the power of the algorithms, the ability to drill through all the noise and customize the models in a ways we haven't seen before. So that's a bit scary because that might turn upside down some of the established frameworks, some of the financial theories which are reigned for decades. Now, with the benefit of this huge unstructured data, will shown to be, if not false, then in need of some correction. But yeah, so AI would probably make the auditor's job faster and more insightful and give them ability to provide richer analysis. What do you say, Isabel?
First of all, I think that most of the people thinks about AI in finance, including such process like risk management, loan application analysis, like just well, let's ask some robot whether you would allow issuing a loan to a particular customer. Yeah? In reality, risk analysis should do a lot of job before relying on this outcomes of any AI engines. Yeah, and actually, the problem with, for example, application of AI for risk management is that there are a lot of regulatory requirements in almost in every country. Such regulatory requirements, they actually, sorry for tautology, requires financial institutions to be able to analyze and to validate the models used by this risk analysis engines. Yeah? And if a bank, for example, a financial institution, cannot explain why the AI engine produce positive or negative assessment of a particular customer, there can be some sanctions from the regulator. Yeah? So the pure application of pure AI, for example, for risk management field in finance, at this moment it's not possible. Yeah, in some conjunction use of AI plus data analytics plus something else, yeah, it's possible. In fraud detection, probably it has wider applicability among different financial institutions, like behavior analytics, etc. Yeah, it's quite useful, and actually a lot of financial institutions they are already using such models. Also in some analysis of client portfolio, segmentation of clients, it's also very good areas for application of AI. Another example is different bots, assistants, virtual assistants, voice bots. It's also very interesting and already quite popular area for AI application.
Well, considering you already mentioned some of the implications of AI, could you please also share your personal experience with it? How did you implement it in your personal workspace, maybe? Especially like Mikhail, do you use AI while teaching in DMUK, and did it help you being more productive?
Yeah, so sometimes we use AI to create some nice visuals for the slides, but I think most of the materials that we have as lecturers is still written by humans. Unfortunately, some of the submissions I read by the students, I've got strong suspicion that it was in collaboration with ChatGPT, let's put it this way. Yeah, so our students of finance in the third year will have a course in AI and machine learning. And as an exercise, they would be asked to create a simple neural network. Mm-hmm. They will not be assessed on it because that's a very challenging thing if you're not a software engineer. But I think picking up on what Konstantin was saying, so definitely segmenting the audience. Machine learning algorithms are very good at this. Humans will find it hard to compete. Chatbots, etc., a popular application. Machine learning algorithms are atheoretical. They don't ask the question, why is that important? They just look at the data and give you the best fit, more or less. So it will be a while, I think, before regulators will be completely comfortable with the idea that an engine will crunch some numbers and decide whether to extend a loan or not.
Yeah.
What about the KPMG? How does the company use AI?
Yeah.
Yes, for my personal usage, the short answer will be, of course, yes. Everybody, I think, in some situations today use this generative AI tools. And in our day-to-day job, of course, generative AI, like ChatGPT, they helped to start working on some new topic, some new subject, when you don't know where to start from. Yeah, just to structure your thoughts, to structure some ideas, to prepare some bullets to further work deeply on. Yeah, it's very helpful. But of course, it's not a total substitution of some human behavior. I don't know. But as I said at the beginning, like other financial institutions, it's more about PR and experiments. Yeah, of course, we have some labs across the world that are currently investigating how we can apply AI in different services of KPMG, including audit, including tax advisory, deal advisory, general consulting, etc., etc. And there are some cases where we where we built some generative AI tools, built-in actually generative AI engines in some internal applications of our clients that are now trained on the internal documents of these clients and can produce brief answers on questions from their employees.
Okay, well, then there comes another really important question. How are regulators responding to ensure compliance and ethical use of AI in
I
finance?
think those models are still emerging, and there is a lot of debate because the technology is here, people are using it, and it's like the sun rising and setting. You need to embrace it, go with it, and find where to put limits to it. So I guess it will be trial and error, and the first people who will do this trial and error will be people in developed markets in the United States and the European Union. And then governments from emerging markets like Kazakhstan, for instance, will learn from the best practices there. I've got a question for Konstantin, though. About 5 years ago, the regulators in the United States, the SEC, required that when you submit your financial statements, you've got this XBRL.
XBRL, yeah.
How about Astana Stock Exchange? Do you think they will mandate it at some point?
I'm not sure about this, yeah, because not Astana Stock Exchange, but National Bank of Kazakhstan, yeah, which is still the main regulator on the financial market, they did some investigations about XBRL about some 5 or 6 years back, and then they made another attempt to adopt for XBRL. And we know that the Central Bank of Russia has also tried to implement the XBRL for insurance market, yeah, but it's the success of this attempt is under the big question, yeah, and this project was not extended to other financial markets. So there are a lot of drawbacks about XBRL, yeah, because it's quite complicated. It has a lot of components within this concept, yeah, and so the implementation of XBRL is very time-consuming and money-consuming exercise for the market, yeah. And so for the smaller markets, I think we will find some other tools, some other ways of transmitting the reporting in the future. It more simpler, more easy, more faster than XBRL, yeah.
We have a bit of a dilemma now because we've got accounting students, and for the past 3 or 4 years, Western textbooks on accounting, they have this new chapter, XBRL, how to work with it. And there are courses you can take, etc., etc. So we need to think how much of it we need to introduce into our curriculum. Maybe we'll do just a session and then point the students to a course where they can learn more about this. But it is becoming a requirement if you want to work with financial statements for a Big Four company.
But it's important to be aware of such format at least, yeah.
Yeah, to be aware, yeah.
And as far as I understand, it's also something that is being improved day by day. It's also like a technology that is being produced.
There are several versions of it, just like there are several versions of HTML or Python. It is improving, it's getting more sophisticated. It's a bit like having an excavator instead of a shovel, in a sense. And so algorithms will crunch through the financial statements much faster than before.
Maybe not by day by day, but quite recently there is another requirement that reporting on cyber incidents should be also reported in XBRL format. So not only financial reporting, but ESG reporting, financial report, this IT cyber reporting should be also now done in the XBRL format, and actually not only in the US. So yeah, it's been developed. Yeah.
So would you say that educational program will also change?
Definitely, definitely. It's evolving. Well, the financial analyst curriculum, they used to say a textbook at master's level in finance survives for a decade, then it needs to be revised. Now, I would say probably 7 years. So, and this is how it's going to be. Because of AI, because we need to introduce algorithms, machine learning, neural networks, XBRL. Yeah, so there will be a new session every year, edit on some new topics.
So basically, I would say that it's easy to talk about it when you know what you're talking about, but for simple customers like myself, it may be a bit scary that AI is being implemented in such big and really important moments of our lives. So how can organizations balance the benefits of AI with the need to protect customer privacy and ensure data security?
Well, privacy should come first, and the regulators recognize that. The data protection legislation is there. The fines for violating data privacy are quite high. I really like this movie, Minority Report, where Colin Farrell says, the flaw is human, it always is. So the problem with the technology is always if you put a human being, unsupervised, in charge of anything, data protection, etc., etc. So it's all about the checks and balances between us humans. The question to political scientists, how do we design the political system in our society to make sure that we have the right amount of regulation and we don't let villains to dominate the agenda? What do you think, Konstantin?
Yeah, I agree with you, Mikhail. Yeah, but I would also say that privacy is just one of the aspects that, of course, it's on the surface. We should also consider not only the privacy, because as for the privacy, every person today shares a lot of personal data, so it's a normal part of our life to share the personal data and to be ready that there will be some leakage, small question about raising the awareness among the public, among the people, and what is allowed to share, what is not allowed. But for AI, we should also consider more aspects about the trust to AI, about ethical questions of usage of AI, about managing data that AI algorithms are using. I agree that it's more about some developed countries and some rich countries who will be the first in adopting new legislations around AI, like the US, like the European Union, where just recently, just a few months ago, a new law about AI has been introduced. Yeah.
The major problem since all those machine learning algorithms, since AI appeared, was the quality of the data you use and how you train it. It's like training a dog or a child. If you raise your child well, he or she will grow up a cultured, polite, respected person. If you treat your child badly, they might grow up a sociopath. So it's the same with AI. If you let AI collect garbage from around the internet, Yeah, it will give it will give you some crazy results. We work on the humans, make humans aware about the data privacy issues, and make sure that the humans who are responsible for implementing AI technologies are supervised, that there are checks and balances.
Well, actually, there are a lot of governance and control mechanisms in every big firm, especially the firm that operates in quite in such fields with a lot of regulations in different countries. Yeah? So, of course, it's all starting from a responsibility, yeah, from from appointing the key persons who are responsible, who should feel their personal responsibility to protect the personal data, the personal data of the employees and of our clients, etc., and our partners, counterparts, etc., etc. Yes, so we have such officers, data privacy officers, in every office where we are operating. Yes, it's the first important part to start from the clear responsibility. The second point is again awareness. Yeah, it's a constant training, constant raising of concerns, conducting web online training, some quizzes to educate the staff how to deal with personal data. And then, of course, there are a lot of processes and technologies, IT controls.
I think most people in finance by now have had some sort of training in Python or R or any programming language. So it improves their productivity, it allows them to write code that executes the routine tasks faster, collects information faster. Researchers in finance would collect the statements of the CEOs, the transcripts of phone calls between the analysts and the CEO, and analyze this content in a way that wasn't possible before. So far the impact on productivity in the financial industry has been positive. But I yet don't see any framework emerging about how AI would revolutionize the workplace. Because we are more productive than ever before, do we need a 5-day week, or do we need to work for 4 days, as Germany seems to be experimenting with? So I don't think it's the technology of AI, it's the impact it will make on the workforce, on labor, on the protection of workers' rights that is still being debated, not by software engineers, but by economists and social scientists.
Yeah, I would agree. No revolutionary things as for now. Our respondents, about 70%, I guess, of them, said that finding the cases to apply AI is the most difficult thing for them. It's easy to study Python, for example, to study some other analytical tools, yeah. But to find the applicability of this technological stuff, is really tough, is really difficult for many organizations. Yeah.
You can work in finance without knowing how to code, but it will make your life much easier, and you will be a lot more competitive in the job market if you put on your CV, I've got some knowledge of Python. But there are maybe 20 tasks in finance for which it would be helpful for you to know how to write the code, how to collect data from a web page, how to optimize a portfolio of investment, how to run a regression or a classification. You don't need to spend a year studying that. It can be accomplished in the matter of 3-4 months. So this is what we recommend to the students. Explore different options, whether face-to-face courses or online courses, and it will make you much more employable.
Of course, it's possible to be a finance specialist without dealing with some new technologies, but it's like being a cooker without blender, oven, just knives and fire. Yeah,
it's a great metaphor.
It's possible, but it's really difficult and not efficient. But at the same time, I think we will see that the set of the skills to be required from finance specialists, it will be changed again every 5 or 7 years. Yeah, today it's quite important to be professional in Excel, in Python, in Power BI. But probably tomorrow it will be more more feasible to deal with some graphical programming languages like maybe even Scratch.
We're all becoming a bit of a researcher, a bit of an academic, all of us. So academics are taught from day one to collect as much data as possible, to keep an open mindset, to consider all the frameworks. And increasingly, even if you don't want to be an academic, if you just want to be a bachelor's in finance, it will be drilled into you. It is the ability to work with data, not just the technical skills of coding and running regressions, but how you approach your analysis, the philosophical stance that you take, not having a closed mind, but having an open mind. Particularly because 20 years ago, a lot of the data we had came from New York Stock Exchange, NASDAQ, London Stock Exchange. We have 3 stock exchanges in China alone, which are in the top 10 globally. We've got India, Malaysia, Indonesia on the rise. So data is coming from all over the world. Financial statements are coming from all over the world. If you want to stay in the finance industry, you need to read global financial statements and develop an encompassing global mindset, which requires you to be sort of tolerant and diverse and everything with all the values we try to instill in students.
Yeah, open mindset and readiness to change, openness and readiness and to adopt, to learn new skills constantly. Yeah, it's about the most important skills that we are looking in our employees. And actually, when we are talking to our clients or when we are inviting them as a guest to our team meetings, our clients are also saying about this. Yeah, that it's today the importance of such soft skills such as such mindset is cultural stuff are more important than just technical skills. And for example, me, I'm responsible for technology practice. Yeah? We have some tests checking some technical skills in SQL, for example, in Excel. But during the interviews, I never ask questions about how will you program such or such things. Yes, what is more important for me, it's how the person comes to solving difficult problems, difficult, tricky situations with clients, etc., etc. This is more important than just to be a professional with some coding languages or some tools.
I am still surprised by 2 things. How much of the statistical techniques we use in economics and finance came from life sciences a century ago. So actually a good way to prepare for a course in statistics and finance is to study what cows, large mammals who live in herds and their herding behavior. So we borrow in economics extensively from physics, from biology, etc., etc. The other thing is, obviously, once you start research and once you start reading the papers, you see how dirty, how not structured the data is, how the real world is not perfect, how it's full of chaos, and you've got brilliant minds trying to find a pattern, trying to find a model which explains some of the variation you see in the chaos. You know it, you hear about this all the time, but only when you start collecting the data, see what's missing, see how can you fit a model, a curve or line onto this. You understand how data scientist is a very dirty business. This is very different from somebody drawing equations on the board, a couple of integral signs, and that's it. It's actually hard work of collecting, analyzing, collecting more data. Yeah, a bit like digging through the dirt to find a gold nugget.
Actually, during all my career, I think I meet some very unexpected, very surprising things that I haven't been aware about before. At every grade, at every job level, that there are a lot of things. For example, at the beginning, I was very surprised how financial sector is interesting, actually. Parents are from telecommunication industry, and they're supposed to be interested in these fields. And when I came to KPMG and was appointed to the team that was working on financial sector, I was a little bit upset about it. But then I realized that there are a lot of processes that are very interesting, with a lot of variations, a lot of analytical things. Then I found a lot of interesting stuff in regulatory fields, in central banks work, etc. Then XBRL, then a lot of stuff in cybersecurity. And nowadays, I think what surprised me, it's the way the process of how effective teams are forming in every organization. In earlier stages, I supposed that to build a strong, effective team, you need to define a skill set, a good skill set matrix, and to find well-educated people, educated in this particular fields. But now I see that really stable, interesting, strong, efficient teams are the teams that comprises from people from different industries. For example, now I see that my team has, for example, professionals who were educated not in IT field, but in finance, in chemistry, in telecommunications, and when they start working together, they produce really interesting results. I think we underestimate ethics questions, ethics educations today. Actually, me personally, I don't know how to teach ethics, for example, because it's for me something unfeasible. It's the thing that really comes with some years of experience, probably.
I think when you teach ethics to financial analysts, it's mostly about case studies and considering specific situations. So this was your duty, this is something you had to do, this was the situation you found yourself in, you issued this recommendation and led to these results. So you accepted an expensive gift from a client, and from another investment bank, etc., etc., etc. So there are some guidelines, sure, ethical guidelines, and you know it and you learn it by heart, but most of the learning comes from analyzing case studies, and then comes from experience, from finding yourself in a situation of a tough, moral, professional choice, and hopefully making the right choice.
So would you say that in one way or another, finance specialists take responsibility for their clients?
Yes, they have to. They owe a duty of care to the clients. That is still there. It's just that the definition of what the client requires evolved from purely the client needs to get the best deal to the client, just like the financial analyst lives in a world where we have triple bottom line. The client, the society, the environment. I think there is no way of escaping from that philosophy now in your investment approach, in your approach to analyzing financial statements, financial data. The more you disclose, the more transparent you are, the more comfortable people feel. That is why the regulators like the SEC were established close to a century ago in the wake of a big financial crisis. The public needs to know what the company is doing. If I'm buying shares of a company, I need to be able to see their financial statements, their sustainability statements, etc. So if you implement AI algorithms, of course, a lot of them are proprietary, and you spend a lot of money developing those algorithms. You want to keep the source code private, but you still need to make a reasonable amount of disclosures to the public. So again, this is what the regulators in the developed world are trying to find now, the right kind of balance. How much a financial institution like Goldman Sachs or KPMG should be telling us about what kind of algorithms they use without compromising their proprietary information too much, but at the same time making us reassured that AI is not a new Cyberdyne systems taking over the world.
Actually, I totally agree that all fears usually come from a lack of information, from not transparent information. Right? For every organization, it provides some disclaimers that, well, this part was formed by AI using such and such data, and this part was formed with AI with such and such data, and your data was used in such algorithms with such purposes. I think this would help, because now many persons just don't know whether their data is used or not in some AI engines. Well, first of all, it's about again, responsibility and education. Yeah, you should start with educating your people. Some organizations even establish reskilling academies, internal academies, to make their people, their employees confident about their future, that they will not lose their jobs. And the second thing, it's not to be afraid of experimenting. It's really a time for trying some kind of AI, of trying to build in some AI engines in different parts of their job. And then the third more complicated thing is to consider the picture as a whole, to consider the way of how the organization manages their data. Because there are some frameworks on data management. The most famous is DMUK, but it's already quite outdated. It's because it does not consider AI in full potential. Yeah. And now you should add some aspects again about ethics, about transparency, about raising the level of trust to such data, etc., etc. So,
what about the academic side of the problem? What advice would you give to future finance specialists who wants to implement AI in their future workplace?
Oh, well, the advice we typically give to students: be open to new information, collect as much data as possible, but of course collect the data ethically, and stay abreast of the fast-changing field of finance. If we have a big breach in privacy, we don't blame the algorithm, we don't blame the robot. We should be blaming the system that should be preserving checks and balances on the humans who operate the robots. And yeah, the other point is fear always feeds off ignorance. So if you're ignorant about something, you feel very defensive, you don't understand how it works. And this is why larger public might have fear of AI. It's the same with finance professionals. If you're confident, if you understand what the technology can do, you can communicate that to your clients, you can put them at ease, and that can make you a much more confident and a much more successful investment professional.
Okay, so to conclude today's interview, how do you see the continued evolution of AI shaping the future of finance and audit?
It would transform the profession. It would create new jobs within the audit industry. So people will work smarter and more efficiently and develop new specialisms. I don't think AI is here to replace humans fully. We will still need the human being in the picture.
Okay, well, big thank you for joining us today and for answering every question. Me and I think the viewers were able to learn a lot of new information. Thank you again and goodbye.